We just came back from foraging some amazing wild ramps, which are also known as wild leeks, and those only grow for 2 or 3 weeks in the springtime here in southern Vermont. That timeline is going to vary depending on where you live and if they grow local to you. So I'm super excited, and we're going to make a raw ramp pesto with them, and we probably won't even use all of them, maybe half. So these are the wild ramps, the wild leeks. Yeah, I'm just gonna use maybe half. And you can like rinse them off before you use them. I didn't, but I don't mind. I know it came from a wooded area that's far away from heavy traffic. So if it's ever near a road, I don't harvest things near there. And you can check out my ramp video where I take you foraging and we learn all about how to sustainably forage for them. You can usually find them at like grocery stores and farmers markets. Just make sure you're not getting one with a bulb. The bulb's delicious, but it's just not sustainable at all. And we want to make sure these friends of ours are going to be here for generations to come. So I'm going to chop them up a little bit before we throw them in our food processor. It doesn't matter how you chop them because it's going to get broken down into pesto. And this is a vegan pesto, a raw vegan pesto. And I like to use raw cashew pieces as my base for vegan pestos. They're soft nuts. They have a little bit of like a cheesiness to them because we're not going to add any cheese or even nutritional yeast. You can if you want, but I just don't. The cashews work great, and they're a lot cheaper than pine nuts, and they don't have as strong of a flavor as other nuts like walnuts or something else. I do love walnut pesto, but it's very much like I'm eating walnut pesto because it tastes like it. So I'm going to dump 3 cups of raw cashew pieces into my food processor. And remember, pieces because they're way cheaper than the whole cashews, and we're breaking them down anyway, so we don't need them to be whole. 3 cups of cashews. And before I do anything else, I'm going to pulse those down to help them break down first. If you try to add everything at once, you'll have a harder time breaking down the cashews later. And if you want to, you can soak your nuts beforehand, strain them out, and they'll be even softer. As everything blows away. That's just into a crumble. And this is in a dry food processor. I guess it could be wet. Like if you had just washed it, it could still have some dampness in it. That wouldn't be a problem. We're going to throw in our ramps. And I'm not doing exclusively ramp pesto. Ramps are super garlicky, super spicy, which I love. But I'm going to save some of my ramps for something else later. I haven't decided what yet. I might even just saute them up and put them on like pizzas or in quesadillas or something. So now I'm going to top this off with spinach. So I got this gorgeous local spinach. You could just use all ramps. You could throw in basil instead, which is going to add that flavor. You could go more wild greens and add in things like dandelion greens, plantain, lamb's quarters, nettle, anything like that. You could also just use like arugula or basil. I'm just using spinach. It's a little bit more of a neutral green, and it'll be nice with the ramps. And I'm filling up my food processor. Now, this is a larger food processor that holds at least 10 to 12 cups. So if you have a smaller food processor, you want to use half the batch or less. And we're going to throw in a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, which is, let's see, there's 16 tablespoons in a cup. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 4 tablespoons, because I don't have a 1/4 cup nearby. So 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. This is an oil-free raw vegan pesto. At my restaurant at Super Fresh, there's a lot of people with garlic allergies or they're oil-free for different health reasons or personal preferences, or we just accommodate so many different things. So we make our pesto garlic and oil-free. However, when you're making ramp pesto, that is in the allium, like wild leek, garlic, onion family. And we're going to throw in 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of salt. I threw in 1 teaspoon, and I'm wondering if that was too much. I'm not looking at my recipe right now, but it'll be great. And I use Himalayan salt, but you can use real salt, kosher, whatever you've got. It's like a standard table salt. And then we're gonna food process that up until it starts looking like a pesto consistency, and we might adjust it as we go. I'll show you how when we get there. So basically you're just food processing until it gets to be a smooth, fully broken down consistency, all of the leaves broken down. Occasionally you'll have to, like I didn't have to this time because magic, but oftentimes I have to take the lid off maybe part of the way through and push down some of the greens if they got stuck with the lid. And you can use a rubber spatula to do that. Do not try to do that while the food processor is running by taking this up. I've seen people do that and cause a lot of damage. And this looks honestly like the perfect consistency. I just have a couple little ramp leaves left that I want to break down. So I'm going to pop it on for a couple more seconds and taste it. Oh my God. Oh. Perfect. And if you wanted, you could add a tiny splash of olive oil, but I really don't think you need to. This is the perfect consistency in my mind. Like, look at that. I mean, it's pretty firm, but I love putting this on pizzas, on toast, on sandwiches, anything, just dipping veggies in it. Making wraps, whatever you want, whatever you would use pesto for. We're gonna make a pesto pasta. So let's see. I'm gonna get a bowl really quick. Maybe. Possibly. Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to tuck these wraps to the side, and we're going to take some kelp noodles, which is just kelp and water in noodle form. They're gluten-free, they're raw, they kind of like to stick together. You can get them at most health food stores, Whole Foods. There's a couple different brands I use. This one is called Goldmine. Yeah, I just get whatever the store has. And they're really fun. But I like blending them with veggie noodles like zucchini noodles or carrot shreds or gorgeous purple daikon. This is from some local farms here in southern Vermont. So I'm kind of doing like 50-50 veggie noodles, kelp noodles. And because these are so long, I'm going to kind of give them a little tear so it's easier to eat later. They're so long. Look how fun that is. I love spiralizing veggies, especially with my niece, my 6-year-old niece. So fun. And spiralizers are a really easy, simple kitchen tool that you can find for like $30. At a lot of health food stores will sell them, and obviously, of course, online you can find them. So I'm just going to give these noodles a little, mix them together. And this made a lot of pesto, and we're not going to need all of it. We're just going to use like a few tablespoons. That might have been a 1/4 cup. And I'm going to use a raw cashew cheese, which I'm going to link the video for this recipe in the text below. So we're going to put some cashew cheese in there as well. You don't have to do this part, but I just really, it's so good. It's so good. I'm going to take some tongs. If you have gloves, this would be a good time to put your gloves on and give it a nice massage. I'm just trying to not get my hands completely covered in pesto. Oh, it's so good. So ramps you can eat raw or you can cook them, but they're completely safe to eat raw. I love, and I definitely will be making as soon as probably tomorrow, ramp pesto pizza. And as soon as the fiddleheads start coming up, I love doing like ramp pesto pizza with sauteed fiddleheads. I just saute my fiddleheads with some coconut oil and salt. If you don't know what fiddlehead ferns are, I will do a video soon on that and connect you to it. Let's see. Now separate these noodles out. There we go. The pesto likes to get gloopy. And I feel like that's enough sauce for me. And I love serving this on a plate or a bowl with some salad greens. I'm gonna grab some spinach. Because the spinach is this gorgeous local spinach, it's the huge leaves, so I'm gonna break it into smaller pieces. Put some on the plate. This is how we would like plate it at Super Fresh. We might put it in a bowl at my restaurant. And then this is probably enough for 2 servings. So I'm just gonna put some of these on the plate. Oh, gorgeous. So nutrient dense. Cashews are adding that nice plant protein. I think that's plenty. And then I am actually going to drizzle, if you have a squeeze bottle, this is fun, a little bit more cashew cheese, gloop it on top. It's prettier with a squeeze bottle when you can really do the design, do it up. I like to garnish with some raw tomato chopped up. And you gotta lick your fingers as you go. And then I make Brazil nut parm. And we're just gonna give that a little garnish with this raw vegan Parmesan cheese. Not cheese, but it's really good. And voila, there you go. Raw ramp pesto pasta. Eat your wild foods. So good. And then this pesto, I'm just gonna store in a sealed container in my fridge for weeks. It doesn't have any cheese or anything in it, so it's gonna last for weeks, but you can also freeze it so you can have some year round, make bigger batches. My mom likes to put it in freezer bags so it doesn't take up as much space. I like to use containers like half the size of this or shorter. You can portion it out so you only defrost a little bit at a time and you can enjoy your ramp pesto year round. I hope you enjoy.